Hello and welcome to the Medicaps learning series. I am Dr. Ankit Soni, Assistant Professor in the Department of Physics. So today we will explore about the semiconductor physics. Before discussing about the semiconductors, first we discuss about the materials or the solids. So first discuss about the classification of solids. So based on the conductivity of materials, the solids can be divided into three categories. The first one is conductors, the second one is semiconductors, and the third one is insulators. Now let us understand this one by one. Conductors are the materials which allows the electricity to flow within the materials. The best examples of the conductors are all metals, for example silver, gold, iron, etc. Now just understand about the insulators. On the other hand, insulators are the materials which do not allow or do not permit the electricity to flow within the material. The best examples of insulators are rubber, plastic, glass, etc. Now the semiconductor is the material which comes within these two materials, conductor, insulator, semiconductors. So as the name suggests, semiconductors. So these are the materials which allows the electricity at certain conditions, or these are the material having the conductivity between the conductors and the insulators. So now let us understand in detail about the semiconductor materials. In order to understand about this material, let us first discuss about the band gap or the energy bands. So if we talk about the single atom, it consists of a nucleus at the center and the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. So each electron is having a discrete energy levels. Now in solids we know there are n number of atoms. So when another atom comes into the contact with this atom, the energy levels are no more discrete. So what happens? The outermost electron of this atom and the outermost electron of this atom, they interact to each other or they talk to each other, and in this way the energy levels are no more discrete. They are merged. And for n number of atoms, this energy levels looks like a band. So this is how the band formation takes place in the solid materials. Now there are two kinds of bands. One is valence band and the second one is conduction band. The valence band is the band where the electrons are occupied or it is filled with the electrons, and the conduction band, it is just above the valence band where the electron can jump from the valence band to the conduction band and the conductivity takes place. Now the material which we have discussed in earlier, conductors, in semiconductors and insulator, can be understood with the help of these bands. So let us draw the energy level diagram. On y-axis I take energy. The bottom one is the valence band. I am writing it as VB. I am drawing it for conductor, semiconductors and insulators. Because in conductors we have free electrons, so the conduction band and the valence band, they are overlapped to each other. There is no energy band gap in the conductors. On the other hand, if we talk about the insulating materials, there is a huge gap between the conduction band and the valence band, and no energy or the electron transfer takes place from valence band to the conduction band. In between these we have semiconductor materials where we have a reasonable gap in the conduction band and the valence band in the semiconducting material. So the gap between this conduction band and valence band is generally known as the forbidden gap or energy band gap. So we can define the energy band gap as the difference of top of the valence band and the minimum of the conduction band. So this gap is generally known as the energy band gap. Now if we talk about the value of this energy band gap, for conductors, as I told you, the band gap is nearly 0 electron volt. For semiconductor, it ranges from 0.1 to 3 electron volt. Electron volt is the unit of energy band gap. And for insulators, this ranges greater than 5 electron volt. As I already told, examples of rubber, plastic, wood, diamond, So all are having the band gap very, very large. Okay, now we discuss about in detail the semiconductor materials. Semiconductors can be divided into two categories, intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. As the name suggests, intrinsic means these are the semiconductor material which are having in pure nature, means no impurities added to in these materials. No impurities added. The examples are silicon and germanium. Germanium is having band gap around 0.67 electron volt and this is around 1.1 electron volt. On the other hand, we have extrinsic semiconductor. The extrinsic semiconductor are the materials which are fabricated by adding impurity in the intrinsic semiconductor material. So further, based on the impurity, what kind of impurity we are adding, the extrinsic semiconductor can be divided into two categories or two types. The extrinsic semiconductors are of two types. The first one is N-type and the second one is P-type. As the name suggests, N. So N is basically representing the negative and P representing positive. So based on the how charge carriers are taking place and what kind of charge carrier are responsible in the semiconductor is the name given N-type and P-type. For N-type, majority charge carriers are electrons, that is why the overall charge is negative, and for P-type we have majority charge carriers holes and the overall charge is positive. Now we understand how these N-type and P-type semiconductors can be fabricated. So first we understand about the N-type semiconductors. Suppose we have germanium as a pure or intrinsic semiconductor. The outermost electron of germanium is having 4 electrons. To make it N-type semiconductor, we dope here pentavalent impurity. Pentavalent impurity. Penta means 5. So we will dope the element which is having the valency of 5. It means it should have 5 electrons in its outermost orbit. So generally we take phosphorus, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, all these elements as a pentavalent doping element. For example, I am taking arsenic. So it is having 5 electrons in its outermost orbit. So all these electrons, the 4 electrons make a pair with the nearest germanium atom and we are left with one extra electron in the system. Repeatedly we have many germanium and arsenic atoms, so we are left with many number of electrons. So this is how the overall majority charge carriers in this system we have electrons, and that is why this type of semiconductor is known as N-type semiconductors. Now we understand about the P-type semiconductor. In order to understand P-type semiconductor, again we take an example of germanium, which is a pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor. And we are doping the material where we should have large number of holes. So what kind of material we can add here are group 13 element, for example, trivalent impurity, where this tri represent 3. So we need to have the element or the atom which should have 3 valency. So we have, for example, boron, aluminium, gallium, all these atoms consist 3 electrons in its outermost orbit. For example, I am taking a gallium. So it is having only 3 electrons in outermost orbit. So these electrons makes the pairing or bond with the nearest germanium atoms, and this germanium atom where this extra electron has no holes or electrons to make a pair, so we are left with one vacant position over here. So this is basically known as hole. Hole is nothing but the vacant place for the electron. Because electron is not here, so the charge for this hole is generally considered as positive charge. If we repeat this system, so in overall system, we have majority charge carrier holes. So this type of semiconductor is known as p-type semiconductors. So this is all about the semiconductor physics. We can also understand about the Fermi levels in this semiconductor. So that will be a very topic in detail. So we will discuss it in later session. Thank you for watching Medicaps learning series. Stay tuned for more updates and videos. Thank you.